Hi guys, it's Miss Haynes again. Last week we looked at Unit 5, Lesson 1, Buttons and Events. We're going to click through that real quick in case you had any questions, just kind of something that you should have came up with by the end of the lesson. This is a quick review. Okay, so this is our new programming, buttons. You learned about callback functions, events, event-driven program, event handling, event listener, UI elements, and user interface. Then we started creating an app, which basically you should have watched the video to help you out with the Lab Studio. We went over this already. And then we got into where we actually created our code. We started with a simple click me, which it describes up here what you needed to do. So you just made a click me button. So you clicked run, clicked, and then that was it. And then you moved on. Now, since I'm already done with this, it saved my last code. So we're just going to skip through. This talks about using triggers and events, event triggers. You should have got to the end and you kept adding to your code. Event driven, dynamic buttons. You should have ended with a simple chaser game with your code. Once you debugged and got bugs worked out, the example was catch the banana. I did a try to catch an Izzy, which when you run it, since it has a mouse over, every time you mouse over it when it's running, the image moves. So this is a basic chaser game. You click run, and then anytime you try to catch Izzy, she runs away. So that's what you should have ended up with, just a basic chaser game. This is in code view. Design view looks pretty similar. You have your button. If you click, you basically changed from a button to an image. And you had the size of the image, the background color, so on and so forth. So once we got done with that, we're transitioning to lesson 2. So if you go back to your code overview, Unit 5, Lesson 2, this isn't quite as big as last week's lesson, but it's still, decently sized. So Lesson 2 is multi-screen apps. Let's click on the lesson overview. Okay, so students continue learning about the event-driven programming in this lesson. By learning how to add multiple screens to an app and adding code to switch between them, more techniques of debugging are presented, namely using the console.log, a command that allows them to print out text which the user cannot see. It is useful for displaying messages to yourself to figure out what is happening as your program runs. Students will end the lesson by creating an improved version of the chaser game, which they did in lesson 1. So you're going to go through, you got some new words here, debugging, finding and fixing problems in an algorithm or program, event-driven program, a program designed to run blocks of code or functions in response to specified events such as mouse click, mouse over, event handling, an overarching term for the coding task involved in making a program respond to events by triggering functions. And your new code this time is set screen for screen ID because you're going to be making multiple screens, and console.log. So then once you've read through that, click continue. And this puts you right to your design mode and your layering and deleting. So user interface elements can overlap one another. So you'll want the ability to change the order or depth at which each one is shown. So you try it. Use the depth and delete tool to create the after image shown below. Scroll to the bottom of the Properties tab. You'll find buttons which allow you to easily change the depth of an element. Change the depth of the element by using the double or single arrows. Click the double arrows to send all the way to the front or back. Click the single arrow to move up and down one layer. delete an element by selecting it, by clicking on it in the design view, and then clicking the red delete button in the properties tab. So you'll start with your before pictures, what we see here, and then we should end with something that resembles a bullseye. Okay, so work on completing that. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Also, if questions come up, don't forget we have our Thursday Zoom session at noon if you have any questions you want to ask. I want you guys to try your best to work on this, and I will go over it again next week with how your example should have ended. So have fun with this project. Don't stress out. It is a little tough, but we'll get through it. Again, thank you, and if you have any questions, never hesitate to contact me. All right, bye guys. Good luck. Have fun.